to be here.
Okay.
There are two Lori's.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
You got it.
Lori's. And so, you know, we'll just get started. Again, this is supposed to be really informal. And I know that most people are not into data like I am. So that little email I sent with those attachments, if you're not into it, don't worry about it. The charts and the blah, blah, blah. It was just a way to try to let you know how I think all of us are related or connected in some way to the Marshall family. And so, again, I don't know if you looked at it at all, but it just kind of gives an indication of where we all kind of fit in. So the exciting thing is that because of COVID and the vaccinations, I was able to get vaccinated by early May. And I said, well, if I can be vaccinated, I can go on a plane. I can go to Georgia. Usually for these book projects, for those of you who don't know, it's really important to go to the place where the family lived. And you know, a lot of stuff's online, but there's nothing that replaces being there, smelling and seeing what they saw and walking in their steps. There's just nothing. So I put together an itinerary, and some of the folks who are here today on this Zoom call and many more, but Amy in particular, I gave the itinerary to, and I said, hey, I'm gonna go to Georgia. And Amy said, oh, that sounds so cool. Can I go? And I said, that would be great. And then Jennifer in the middle of my screen, Jennifer Owens in the middle of my screen, she lives in Columbus, Georgia.
I do.
Hey, Jennifer, good to see you again.
Isn't that cool? So on this lovely chart, and I know you can't see it now, but the chart that looks like a graph that I sent you, in the middle column is where my immediate family is. At the very bottom in yellow, it says Kathy Marshall. Greg is the host here. Greg Marshall. Carrie Marshall is my sister. Austin David is well, where it says Austin, he's a first cousin. Michael Chick is a first cousin. All the rest of the folks who are going to come in here are going to be mainly first cousins, and on and on. And
Carolyn's on.
Hey, Carolyn.
Carolyn.
Hey, sis.
Good to see you.
Hey.
Hear you.
I can't talk right now, but I will listen.
Okay. That's cool. And so anyway, so as far as the immediate family on that chart, the way you read it is, if you look up one line from me, you'll see our father, grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, all the way up to the top line. And the top line is generally where all of us are connected. The person that I feel is a connection to us. And we have a little line around 1830. And basically anyone who's in the picture before 1830 is probably morning family.
Wait. So this is my grandson, Idris.
He's so handsome.
Hey.
All people on my dad's side family.
This is all your family, Idris.
From Columbus, Georgia, from Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
Beaumont, California.
So where?
Utah.
Okay.
Beaumont.
Orem, Utah.
That's as much as you'll get from him.
Oh, now. So one of the attachments I sent today is a map, and it's kind of a migration.
Do you want that up right now?
Oh yeah, that did great, man.
Sure. Just for it's busy, and I'm working on it, but it just gives you an idea of where we traveled and who we are and why we went, and it's so it's very
nice.
And if you need to make it bigger, just change your view options to make it 100% or 150%, whatever works for your screen. Everybody's different. So
Did you send this by email or did you send that on the phone? Okay.
The text, for some reason, texts fail when I send them. So I send them in an email. And if you didn't get it, Michael, then I will send it to you. But basically here is a migration picture, and it's a lot. This is England. See way up here? Can you see my cursor going around?
No, Greg has to do his cursor.
Greg has to do it.
Well, there's the cursor.
In the upper right is England, right? And so the first person, or the furthest back that I'm choosing to go for this Marshall book, is Robert Marshall, born 1642 in Bedfordshire, England. And I'm choosing to have that be kind of the start person for this project, for the project I'm interested in. So he left England and came into the Isle of Wight, Virginia. So you see that black dotted line coming down, and he went into the Isle of Wight, Virginia, which is kind of by Chesapeake, and when all those, anyway, long time ago, obviously before our country was even a country. And his son was John Marshall, born in 1670, also the Isle of Wight. Another John Marshall was born in Brunswick, Virginia. Another John Marshall, 1710, Brunswick, Virginia. And that's the one that is our overall connecting person, I think. And Amy, feel free to jump in at any time and disagree. And same with Jennifer. If you know more, believe me, I'm open. But John Marshall, Captain John Marshall, born around 1710 to 1715, was a patriot. He's an American Revolutionary War patriot. And a lot of us, I believe, all of us, connect with him in some way. His son was David Gregg Marshall. And if you look on this other chart, that this spreadsheet that has columns and rows and all that fun stuff, David Gregg Marshall is at the top line for most of us. Yeah. And so that means probably we are connected through him. Now, DNA wise, DNA is the tool that we need if you're doing slave research. Lots of folks have John Marshall in their tree that match our DNA. By our, I mean all me, brother, sister, first cousins. Okay, that's what I mean by our immediate family. So anyway, so fine. So David Gregg Marshall, his son was Stephen Marshall. Stephen Marshall has a list of slaves in Putnam County. And that's where Amy, raise your hand, Amy. Amy and I, she's my gal pal, my road dog, my best friend, my new cousin. And she braved 4 days and 3 nights with me. Yes, Carrie, you can chuckle. My gosh.
We had a blast.
But it
I got jiggers.
And we flew into Atlanta. And then we went to Lawrenceville, where our maternal cousin Julie lives. And we were going to meet with a fellow named Eddie Marshall. Eddie Marshall is on that chart, on the first column at the bottom. And Eddie Marshall and Greg, brother Greg, they match on the Y-DNA, the baby daddy DNA, the paternity test.
Oh, wow.
And what that does, that is critically important, because that means that Greg and Eddie, for positive sure, I mean courtroom sure, legal sure.
More public sure, huh?
Yeah. have a common ancestor. So if you look at the top of he's got Captain Benjamin Senior Marshall from Virginia, but above that is that John Marshall, the one that all of us seem to share. And so anyway, so that's what we need as far as proof that at least we're barking up the right Marshall tree. And so that's important if we want to maybe get into the Daughters of the American Revolution, which requires proof. And I don't know that I want to yet, but I think I do. But so that's where this kind of leads. So you've got all these folks that made it from England to Virginia to North Carolina, Halifax, North Carolina, 3 generations. And then William Blount Marshall, born in 1796, moved to Talbot County, Georgia. And I guess I missed his dad. Well, the folks who were born in Halifax moved to Putnam, Georgia. And that's where Amy and I spent our first day together on a Monday. What was it, the 24th, I guess? Yes. And we spent it with an expert named James Marshall. He was the president of the Historical Society in Putnam County. And he's listed underneath Amy in this column 2 on our wonderful spreadsheet chart, because I think there's a lot of commonalities there with the lineage. And so anyway, so we did a whole day in Putnam, and it was very interesting. And I will be doing a video really soon on that. And the next day we went into Talbot County, and that's where this is where our enslaved folks were. So William B. Marshall moved to Talbot County in around 1830, 1829, something like that. And we have our great-great-grandparent, Samuel Marshall, born around 1830, blah, blah, blah. So that's how this map, that has coming from England, with the dotted black line coming down through Virginia, through North Carolina, into Putnam, Georgia, then to Talbot, then to Columbus, where Grandpa Austin Marshall was born. So that's how that all goes. Grandpa Austin Marshall went up to Cleveland, and that's where Ohio is, at the very top there, where you see me, Kathy Marshall, born in Cleveland, and Thomas Richard Marshall, also born in Cleveland. So that's that migration. So for my purposes, I wanted to really isolate, where do we come from? Again, the Caucasian Marshalls have a beautifully documented paper trail. Beautifully, right? Am I right? I mean, it's great. And Eddie Marshall, the one that's in the first column that matches Greg's Y-DNA, he has plotted 56 generations of Marshalls that back to Denmark and the Vikings, and all the way back to the year 1156.
Wow.
You want that page up, Kathy?
No, it's oh, I mean, oh yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, the other one, the graph that I keep talking about.
Greg, are you able to make Kathy a co-host, or is your plan to not have that?
I can. I don't know if
I don't know how to do it, so.
yeah.
I don't know.
He did offer Carrie. That's what I need. Carrie has offered like 5 times to teach me how to do a Zoom
This
session.
is you only learn by doing.
Yes, ma'am.
So go ahead and share her co-host status. I'm a retired educator, right?
Yeah. I will definitely take you up on it, because that would be very, very helpful.
It's the only way to learn it, though. You just can't do it just by taking the little tutor classes.
Okay, well, maybe in a few days. But I know most people don't really care about the detail anyway. I think the main thing I wanted to share for today is to introduce you to the fact that there's a lot of cousins out there. It's really not just us in the center line of this chart thing. There's a lot of, yes, thank you, Greg. You see where it's red in the very center of the page? That's my question. I'm not sure about that generation, but it still gives you the idea. So there are lots of additional folks, and in the yellow line on the bottom, that's where Jennifer Owens, who's with us right now, she's been the last. You hear somebody talking, I don't know. But anyway, so that's where Jennifer is, and Lori Hughes will be listening. She's in the last column. And
you know, I'm looking at this column, and I am, you know, with the William Blount Marshall thing, but also the Greg Marshall is actually my 6th great grandpa. So, okay. So I just see Erika Thomas there. But yeah.
You're right next to that. I think Greg had.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, there we go. I see it. Okay, never mind.
So but you're right next to Erika, and as soon as Greg gets back, he can hopefully move that chart 2 more columns over. But the bottom line is, I just wanted to kind of introduce every one of us and try to get an idea of how we might interact. Like with Jennifer, I think we have Bunkleys, we have Marshalls, we have, that's good. But if you could maybe pull it over to the right, if you could, the chart. Yeah, perfect. That's it. That's great. So we have, Bunkleys in common, and the Owens were close to the Marshalls, physically close, and all this. Now I put a video on YouTube and on my Facebook page that was 1 page or 1 day of Amy and my visit when we went to Talbot, and we spent the afternoon with Michael Buckner, and he took us all. It was, for me at least, it was amazing, because he lives in a plantation, and we got to get a feel for what it probably was like for maybe some of our families. And he had a pottery there, and he had a grist mill there. We got to see what that looks like. So I put together a little 6-minute video that I think I put a link in the chat. You can watch if you want, just for giggles, knowing that our family came from there. That's where our family lived, probably in the 1830s, all the way until 1865.
Kathy, can you re-put that in the chat? If you put it in the chat before people come on, they won't be able to see it.
Okay. So
and I'm one of those people.
So I'll wait. I do have it in the text, that big text group thingy, but I will do it again. And it's on my Facebook page too, anyway. So yeah, so I think that's about all I've got for myself right now. And I was kind of hoping that people could just introduce themselves and maybe a little bit about the family that they know about. And Amy, I don't know if you feel comfortable being first up or not. You don't have to be,
Sure.
but you know, I'm really enthused about the fact that you joined me. It was super beneficial and fun, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your patience.
Oh, we had such a good time, and it's been interesting to me because Erika, who's called, right? Because she's probably at work. She contacted me a year and a half ago with a screenshot that said, "Hey, cousin, we're DNA cousins." And we have had the most amazing relationship, just getting to know each other via email. And then she introduced me to Kathy. And I want to say, Kathy, I think it's been a year. I want to say that happened like April, May last year.
Yeah, that sounds.
And I feel like both Kathy and I are pretty expressive in our emails. So like, we just like chatted a lot. Like we have this chain of emails that just goes on. It's hard to find which one is what. And just through that, I felt so close to Kathy. I just felt a real kinship with her and Erika. And I love family history. I'm by no means an expert. But I just love it. And I have just been absolutely obsessed with this particular line. And I guess maybe the thrill of Erika and I finding our common ancestor and where we connected, which was her fourth great grandmother, Rosa, was William Blount Marshall's slave, and he fathered 4 children from her. And as I looked in my family tree for whoever this was, he was my first cousin 6 times removed. And as I looked over the family group sheets and Erika's tree, I just felt such a love for Rosa and her family. And I just wanted to be part of helping them find more. And Kathy, by joining us, she was able to find Rosa's parents, Oni and John, and Rosa's siblings. And it just gave me chills. And I don't know, I guess I was telling Kathy during this whole past year, and not that it wasn't a truth before, but with the Black Lives Matter movement that happened last year. And I just kept watching the news and thinking, what can I do to make a difference? How, because you just kind of watch news and you are a person without a lot of influence and you just don't really know what to do. But somehow, we've donated to the NACCP, I probably said that wrong. I think it's right. And done some things like that. But just having been involved with Erika and Kathy in this research, I don't know, it's just made me feel like calling out these slaves' names and trying to figure out who their parents are and where they came from. That in this little arena, I'm saying with my efforts, Black lives do matter. These people mattered so much and they were erased. There's no birth records, there's no death records. And when I went on the trip with Kathy, I guess in my mind's eye, and I'm kind of melodramatic, I pictured putting a rose on Rosa's grave, and
yeah,
and I couldn't because there were none. There were no markers. It was like they were erased.
Yeah.
And and to go to those grave sites with Michael Buckner and with James, and to have them point out, they're out there in the swampy area where the snakes are.
Yeah.
Or they're in here, but there's no headstones.
Right.
It's just mind-boggling. So, so it's just really, I can't describe it any more than an obsession. And my grandmother, who passed when I was 13, gave me a book that about our family. She became part of the DAR at that point. And she was so proud that we were related to Jimmy Carter. And the Carters and Crawfords and the Blounts and Marshalls are all in this book that she gave me. I didn't even know I had Marshalls, to be quite honest. I knew Blounts, but never even heard of the name Marshall
Oh my
till Erika had contacted me, and we started working together, and I took a picture of the inside and cover and the back cover, and it had a little pedigree chart, and it showed Oliver Marshall Blount in the back. And I said, Erika's maiden name is Crawford. Her mother's maiden name was Carter. So I'm like, oh, that must be where we're
What?
connected. That's how it happens. That's got to be.
Wait,
And
wait, wait,
for
wait.
sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Erika is a DNA match to us. Erika is a DNA match to us.
I know, but Crawford and Carter on
Yeah.
mom's side.
I know.
So
Okay.
we're probably connected on that side as well.
Right.
Wow.
We have not pinpointed where, but I have in my family line, Carters and Crawfords right there in Talbot County. It's just trying to figure out where. And I think because
Wow.
William Blount Marshall's granddaughter confirmed that he fathered children by Rosa, I think that's the only reason that we were really able to go, yep, this is it. And then the picture of Marshall, but I don't know how we would really pinpoint in that Carter Crawford line, but I'm willing to try to figure it out, but they're all from that area. And my grandma passed when I was 13. And I really feel like when people pass, they're still living on the other side, and that they want us to learn about them. And they want us to share their lives with our children. And I feel like my grandma was part of this journey too. Her name was Emma Jean. My name is Amy Jean. And so when I went out to Georgia to meet my cousin Kathy, grandma went with us. And I think she was saying, let's figure this out. We can't right the wrongs, but maybe we can make another story. I don't know.
You did good. I'm telling you,
Very
girl. You are right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Really. Yeah.
Thank you.
It was just a great trip. You guys, it was a great trip. And then Miss Jennifer.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. She's just so, I was so lucky. Both of these ladies are just wonderful. They're upbeat. They're always fun and patient, and patient, not impatient, but really fun and excited. So
Well,
Miss
I
Jennifer,
enjoyed meeting both of you when you were here in Columbus visiting. And I really wish I did have time to spend more time with you both when you were here. So I started researching my family's past maybe about 12 or 13 years ago. I recently found out that one of my ancestors is Mariah Marshall, her husband, Henry Marshall. But I came to that knowledge having connected with my father's paternal line and found out that his great-grandfather is a Marshall. And so I connected with, my father was not raised by his father. So I don't know my father's side of the family. I only know my father's mother's side, my big mama's side, but I don't know my father's side. So I actually really just started tapping into our other surname, Owens, which is my father's last name and mine. And I found family here, local, right here where I work. I was working with a woman for 4 years and did not know she was my second cousin. She overheard me on the phone and she said, hey, I think we're cousins. And lo and behold, we are cousins. And so my father's father didn't raise him, so he never introduced us to the Owens side of the family. So we now know that Mariah Marshall had a child named Annie with George Owens, and I met my Owens side of the family and then started digging deeper. They have the obituary, I do have it, of Annie Marshall, if you can see it. But it says here that at her death, she had 31 grandchildren and 20 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
Yeah, great-great-grandchildren.
Wow.
And so I'm still searching the roots and have not connected with everyone, but the family is very well documented with Annie's daughter, Lizzie's children. And so we'll find out more as I do my DNA test. I still haven't done it yet, I've become such a procrastinator having all this time at home.
Yeah, it's going to be so exciting because on this chart that Greg put up for a moment that I sent you guys, very bottom, if someone has taken a DNA test, I put how much of a relation we are, scientifically, genetically speaking.
Oh, great.
DNA don't lie. So we just have to figure out how we're connected. And so this chart that I put together is, it's more than a guess. I mean, it's an educated guess. We're still not for sure, but it's really close. It's really close. And so when Miss Jennifer does that, I'm going to buy you something real special, because if that number comes out like I think it does, then it would be just so helpful in helping the pieces together. Now, what happened when Amy and I went out to Talbot, and Michael Buckner, this expert on Talbot, he took us around to see this woman. This is a total surprise. This woman named Maybelle Marshall. And she's in the video that I put together that's on YouTube and on Facebook that I'll put the link in. And Maybelle was suffering from dementia and all that, but I left my business card with my phone number and who my people are. And the next night in the hotel, I got a call from Gloria, and hopefully Gloria is going to be able to.
Wait. So she's on, but she can't, she's listening, but she can't get on. So I don't know why, but she has a message for you. So
Gloria?
Finish what you're saying. Yeah, she has something to say. So finish what you're saying, and then I'll read what she said.
Okay. So Gloria called me. I was flat on my stomach on the bed at night. I was beat tired, and I answered the phone, and she says, "You don't know who I am, but I know who you are." And she
That sounds like a movie.
an hour and a half, all these names of the slave marshals. And Amy and I had gone to, we were trying to find where the slave master's home was on Highway 36, and there was a cemetery there. And I took pictures of some of the folks, Susie Marshall, there's a bunch of Marshalls, I didn't know who they were. And so some of those, I believe, were related to Gloria, perhaps, I don't know. Anyway, so what did Gloria say?
Okay, so Gloria, again, she can listen, but I don't see her on here, so I'm not sure how that worked. But anyway, so this is what she chatted. And Gloria, feel free to chat, text some more, and I can put it, I can share it.
Okay, I see it now. I wasn't seeing that before. Okay, yes.
She said, she's trying to get into the chat. Amy mentioned the Blount that her cousin married, Gwen Blount, who lives here in DeKalb, Georgia, DeKalb County. So do you know Gwen Blount, Amy?
No, I don't.
Okay.
And and this side of the family is really interesting too, because my parents got divorced when I was about 5, and my great grandmother Blount died when I was 15. My grandma Blount died when I was her Emma Jean Lyles, that was her married name, died when I was 13. So I didn't really get to meet my dad's side of the family very much.
Okay.
Just what was handed down, and I have some pictures, and that's it.
Okay.
That's a possible nice lead, though. We'll see.
Yeah.
Another connection.
That'd be awesome.
Okay. What'd you do? Okay. Oh, I see. I'm just reading the thing from Gloria. So Gloria, she was naming all these names, and I looked on the tree. I got to my iPad and I looked at the tree, and I found where her names were in my file, and she is a descendant, or her people, almost likely, because we're talking Sam Marshall, and our descendant is Samuel Marshall, and perhaps a slave Sam above that, and so hers are from Sam, and so that was really, really exciting. And we anyway. So, but did you have more, Jennifer?
No, ma'am.
I don't mean to interrupt. Nothing.
No. And the man was just etiquette, Southern etiquette. I'm not trying to age you.
Who else would like to say something? And Chanella Johnson.
Yes.
I don't know who that is.
Jamel. Love. No.
Chanella Johnson.
She's coming on.
Hello.
Maybe she's using someone else's account.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Like-
gotcha.
This is, so it is Chanella?
Okay.
Is it actually Chanella? You're on mute, Chanella, if you're talking.
I just alerted her that she's, there we go.
Hello?
Hello.
Janella?
Hello, this is
Oh, it's her
Gloria.
daughter. Oh, okay.
Janella is my daughter. I just want to let you guys know, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Gloria's
Finally.
daughter.
I'm not that savvy when it comes down to this. So Janella set everything up for me. So please
Oh,
excuse me.
perfect.
It's all good.
I just want to say that in Talbot, which is where my mother and all of the Hardnetts and the Marshalls were born. And we normally visit and have a family reunion every year, but last year and so far this year, we won't be having a reunion. And as far as Maybelle Marshall, who you all visited in Talbot,
Yes.
Yes.
that's my first cousin.
Oh, my.
Oh,
Yeah, her dad and my mom,
Okay.
sisters and brothers. D.
okay.
Hudson Marshall,
Oh, my goodness.
and they had D. Hudson Marshall. This is really something because we're all double related, so to speak, because
That way.
D. Hudson Marshall married my dad's first cousin, which is Maybelle's mother.
Okay.
So, and Maybelle's grandmother, who is Annie Hardnett Brown, married, well, her dad is Louis Hardnett, and Louis Hardnett and my grandfather, two brothers. So it's like we're all double related due to the fact that two brothers married two sisters.
Yeah.
And my granddad was born in 1883 in Talbot County. And his dad, Alfred Hardnett, was born in between 1849 and 1853
Wow.
in Talbot County. And his mother, Alfred's mother, which I think she was, she was enslaved as well. And her name was Janie Hardnett. And it's, it's so much I'm still digging and searching and searching and searching. But as far as the Blounts, I recall my parents speaking in terms of the Blounts, and I did meet Gwen Blount's mother. And Gwen Blount married, so something, Gwen Blount married my cousin, which is Maybelle's uncle.
Oh,
And they're from Talbot County. And
interesting.
Gwen Blount had, I can describe her vividly. I mean, we see each other a lot. She's sort of fair skinned with real light gray eyes. And it was really strange when I met her mom at the wedding of Gwen and my cousin, Joe Brown, which is, what's his name? Maybelle's uncle. Maybelle's mother married my mama's brother, D. Hudson Marshall. And so she was very dark complected, just as me, but she had very, very light gray eyes, which I thought was very strange.
Look at Michael Chick.
Yeah.
Look at Michael Chick. Look at Michael Chick.
Open your eyes, Michael. There you go.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So it's so hard to try and trace, just as I told Kathy when I spoke with her, I said, it's so hard trying to do the Hardnett side and the Marshall side. And that was and my mom, and I've got to just dig into my records that I have downstairs. I just got to go through it because I wrote down years and years and years ago, things that my mom told me. She said, I want you to do my family history on the Marshall side. And I said, okay. And her dad, which I said, Sam Marshall, that's my granddaddy.
Oh my goodness.
And he married Annie Jane Walton. And
Yes, okay, that's
Annie Jane Walton. And her husband, her uncle Anna Jane uncle was Jerry Walton, who married Lily Dillingham. And Lily Dillingham has a twin sister. They called her, they called her that. Well, she was a feisty little person. And she,
Everybody.
huh?
Hi.
Hi, Chriselle.
Hello.
Another cousin now joined.
Michelle?
Okay.
Okay, well, okay, I want to listen and see what everybody else has to say that I may be able to chime in on as well.
Pershell, that was Gloria Hardnett. Hardnett, yes.
Okay,
And
And she was
also,
explaining the connections.
and
okay.
Gloria, don't you have Mariah Bunkley also?
You know what, as a matter of fact, we are related to the Bunkleys.
Yes. So
And
that's Jennifer
Rosie-
Owens and Bunkley.
Well, Rosie Walton married a Bunkley. And I recall my mom saying, and I spoke with they was relating it on the
Oh, that's
Dillingham
nice.
side, but I spoke with another family member, and she told me that her mother was Rosie Walton, and she married a Bunkley. And I recall a Bunkley that was a patient at Emory Hospital some years ago. After hearing my mom before meeting this Bunkley, before meeting her, my mom said, yeah, we are related to the Bunkleys. And when the lady came in and I was looking at her records and everything, and her name was Kathleen Bunkley from Talbot County. And I said, and I went down to her room and I spoke with her and I said, my mom said that, you know, we're related to the Bunkleys of Talbot. And that, from being from Talbot County, that's what really struck my, you know, made me look and say, well, oh, wow, this is, this person is from Talbot. And I went to, and I gave her the phone number gave her my mom's phone number, and they two talked with each other in the room. And they were related, they were cousins.
That's so cool.
So this, it goes a long way back. And I must say, I have gone to the archives, and it's so easy for others to, you know, go into the archives and come out within 15 minutes and find out everybody that came in on the Mayflower.
Right.
But it's not that easy being Black, you know, it's not that easy at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all. So it's a thing, you know, I don't know how long, but I've been doing this, trying to trace our roots back since before right around the time when Alex Haley did Roots.
Oh,
Wow.
that's Kathy. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a lot. So I'm gonna sit back and listen to others, see what they have to say, and I've got my pen and pencil ready.
Yes.
So I'm putting this in the chat. I'm trying to put it in for everybody. Part of Amy and my trip, we went to Talbot for the afternoon with an expert, and he took us around to many different places. And one of the places was a mystery tour. So I don't know if you ever see on TV, these folks are trying to find some special hidden treasure or whatever. And so this guy, Mike Buckner, he was driving in a, was it a truck, an SUV? I don't know what it was.
I think it was a truck. I think we were in the back seat. I don't know.
I was in the front seat, Amy and his wife in the back seat, and here's this man on Highway 36 and Highway 208, one each way. There's a little drop off on the edge, and the man is looking in these green bushes, right? These bushes at the side of the road, these tall green things, and he's looking for driveways. Things that I couldn't see, but he could see if there was a house way back off in there, off the road. He kept on looking in the car. Anyway, so one particular time that's on this little video that I put in the chat, it was like an adventure. It was like, what are we going to find in here, right? And we
It was awesome.
we trespassed on somebody's lawn. We had to go through a gate. We had to walk up and over and around their gate that's locked in someone's private property. And so, you know, we're with the expert, and so I didn't personally feel fear. But people
We should have.
People do.
There was an old dilapidated RV in front, and it just looked like a moonshiner redneck. It's scary.
So at first, we're looking for the William Blount Marshall, who's our slave owner. We're looking for his house. Where did his house go? We knew it burned down in 1912 or something, but someone thought that it might have been rebuilt. So we come to this, we go around the bushes and the trees, and there's this huge plantation house, right?
Oh, wow.
All columns, really huge. And so at first, the thought is that it was what we're looking for, but then no. Then the wife said, no, it's the Blount house, Amy family's house.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. So, you know,
Oh,
Amy, let
my.
me get a picture of you in front of your family's house. And I'm real disappointed. I'm happy for Amy. I'm real disappointed, but I take this picture. So that's in the video also. And then we come to find out that it was the Bunkley house. So all y'all that have Bunkleys, okay, so that's Gloria and that's Jennifer and that's us. That might be, you know, some connection to some of our people. So yeah, so for show, we just did a little going through couple, I don't know if you saw any of the attachments that I sent, but just to get an idea of how we're all kind of connected and the migration of our family back to England.
Yeah.
And
I just wanted to pop in because I got to pop back out again just to say hello to everybody, to see everybody. And Mike, haven't seen you in a minute. Greg, forever. And hello, Amy and Jennifer.
hello.
And Janella.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice meeting you guys too. That's all.
Yeah.
Michelle, say a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Well, my brother and I are, well, that's my brother right there. It's the two of us. We are the children of Austin Marshall, who was second born. We both still live in the Cleveland area. I'm a retired teacher, a special ed teacher. And what else can I say? That's about
You're
it.
having a good time with life. That's what you say.
Yes, I am. Yes, I retired. When you retire, that's what happens, man.
And you send very positive messages on your Facebook.
All the time.
I try to.
Very uplifting, inspiring.
And a lot of animals. I love animals, so I tend to do a lot of those too. Yeah. What about you, son?
I'm, amazed at this gathering, putting this together. And then the more I hear about Grandma Daisy and Grandpa Austin, I could not have done what they did. I would have had mental issues.
Okay.
I thought the lady was crazy because she made me read and learn how to do math and all like that. I said, this is the meanest lady in the world. And who would have known?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I worked, I had a contract with the railroad, and the way they acted, those railroad people, I don't know how Grandpa Austin even survived as a Pullman porter. The way they people, I couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
It was a lot stronger than I probably would ever be. So I gotta give them credit,
Yeah. Well, I think it led to us being as strong as we are, survivors, and led us to have the curiosity, as to how they did it or why they did it, or what was their driving force. So that was, everything happens for a reason. Nothing's just out there willy-nilly. So this was divine purpose right here, right now.
I'm on Zoom chat with believe it or not, guys, I'm on the phone with D. Hudson Marshall daughter, who also know Michael Buckner.
Oh,
wow.
And this is Maybelle's sister.
Oh
Kathy.
Okay,
my.
that's why, because Michael Buckner said that he honks the horn every time he drives by Maybelle's house. He honks the horn, let her know, that he's thinking of her. And he by just by sheer luck, he took us to see Maybelle. We didn't know anything about that. And
Right.
so he's a
And
really
I'm on the phone now.
good
This is
one.
her sister who's calling me as we speak.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, well, tell her hi.
They said, she said, hello.
Hi. Hello.
And this is Shelley.
Shelley.
Hi, hi,
Yeah,
Shelley.
she said Shelley Marshall Sims. And she said maybe she'll get a chance to meet you guys.
Interesting.
Is Shelley her name on the birth certificate?
Yes, Shelley. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Shelley Marshall.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's what they
From
call
Talbot County. And
Pershell.
she's in Talboton more than she's up here in DeKalb County.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. So I wanted to share that little bit of info with you guys, and I'm just happy that she called as as we are on this conversation.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
And as a matter of fact, while we're I'm going to ask her this question now. Gwen Blount. What's Gwen's mama's name, Shelley?
833-919-2122 to get started. Did they make you sign a contract? Sneak in a bunch of hidden fees? Expecting business at no contracts and no hidden fees. Are they reliable?
Sometimes we get
9%
yeah, she passed a while back. But she was and Gwen married Joe Lewis.
Oh.
Wow. But
Joe Lewis, the famous Joe Lewis?
Well, I wish he was.
It's like, he's the boxer, right? Oh, okay.
And yeah, he was a contractor. Yeah, he thought he was Joe Lewis. Yeah, but D. Hudson Marshall, it was how many? 12 or 13 of you all. It was 13.
Wow.
She said it may have been 18. She can't keep up with them all.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, and Michael, y'all just had 3.
Yeah. Just 3.
So you
well, and-
Michael and David haven't seen each other for a while.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I just love this gathering, and you love being able to see everybody, and
Wow.
and
You stay in on this chat too.
Yeah, I'm definitely late to the party when it comes to any of the research or whatever, and I was
Oh, okay.
I was always future oriented. I really didn't look back very much, but thank God for Kathy that she just did so much research, and the grandmother everybody mentions, Daisy, that's my grandma on my mom's side, and she actually raised me and Carolyn, who is not chatting but is there on the other line, so she's there, and Lori, who she said Lori might be able to get in right at the end of the call, she said. So, if we go longer than an hour, I think she may actually jump on. But I'm just so excited. And while I got you all, because I'm going to actually have to go in a couple minutes because Rhonda's car just broke down.
Oh, no.
We just got out of the shop day before yesterday and it broke down again. So now we're about ready to sue everybody. But but I got to go run and get her. But it's just been kind of amazing, and it's been crazy at our house. I don't even know if everybody on this call I'm sure everybody on the call doesn't know, but I had a heart attack about 3.5 weeks ago.
Oh, no. You didn't tell nobody.
I mean,
You look good now. Oh my gosh.
But I'm okay. It was a mild heart attack. I literally missed like 4 days of work and then I was back.
Oh my goodness.
Because it turned out my heart didn't sustain any damage. I think I inherited my father's heart. It
had to be. We don't have that.
Like 5 strokes, and then the 6th one got him. So I think I inherited his heart, because they're like, well, you've got this bad vessel, but somehow you miraculously have grown 2 other blood vessels to the same area of the heart. So you know, you're fine, you're good.
Mhm.
You know, and so it's been a crazy few weeks. And yesterday, I just got a new job, and I am now working for LinkedIn, and I am managing the change management for LinkedIn and Microsoft.
Yes,
Well,
congrats.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Congratulations.
So,
You know, so I wish I could retire though. I really am jealous of all my retired brothers and sisters on the call. But you know, I'm you know super excited. It's you know hopefully going to be fun, and you know we shall see.
Yeah, good for you. Excellent.
Yeah,
Very
congratulations.
nice.
Say
Yeah.
hi to wifey. Say hi to your.
Yes, I hired
I
you.
will.
I know she'll be mad, but just.
Yeah.
Michael,
I need to jump off too. This is Carolyn,
Yeah.
my sister.
I want to say, when we used to go to the wrestling matches down at the arena, best times ever.
Uh-oh.
40 years later, when I see the wrestler on TV, I automatically stop and watch it for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, you know that's going in the book. Wait. So David, that's going in the next book. You know that, right?
Like big time wrestling? You talking like big time wrestling?
Yes, our father used to take us to wrestling matches. I went too. Yeah.
It didn't look quite as big time as it does now, though.
But it's not real.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Carolyn,
Well,
I'm glad you got on.
I'm gonna have to jump off too. So I just want to say bye to everybody. It's so good
Nice
seeing
to meet
everyone.
all of
Okay.
you.
Nice to see
Yeah.
you.
So we have to do this again sometime.
Carolyn.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All
All right, everybody.
Nice to meet
Love
you.
y'all.
I sent you guys an email. I sent you guys an email.
Okay.
Shameless
Okay.
plug for Juneteenth next Monday.
Okay.
It'll be late
Okay.
your time though. It starts 7 o'clock Pacific time, so it's 10 o'clock your time. But
Well, that's better than the work day. So yeah, I'll be on. I usually stay up late anyway.
okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, just go ahead and register. It'll be fabulous.
Yeah, they do a great job. They really do.
This
Absolutely.
one's Kathy, but this one's like,
More,
oh my God.
more better.
Oh, it is more better.
More better. Wow. Okay.
Well, Kathy, I just want to share this little bit of information. When you were speaking on behalf of going to this house and trespassing, and it was William Blount Marshall. I just wanted to chime in and let you guys know, like in was it Talbot, where my uncle and my aunt lived, Maybelle father and mother.
Uh-huh.
They lived and what they call, it was off the road in Talbot, and it was called the Peach Orchard. And that's where they lived, in Peach Orchard, and it was so far off the highway, and you know, and during that time, my aunt was, you know, they were having several children, and my uncle's oldest sister, Minnie Belle Marshall Woodall, told them, said, look, I need you guys to move closer to the highway, because if anything happened, nobody could hear you, and you'd be too far away if anything were to happen. And they, you know, nobody really got angry with anybody about anything. They all looked up to whatever the older person said, and whatever they said to do, they did it with no grumble. And they did move. They moved further up. So, you know, during her childbearing years and stuff, they managed to manage. But there was this bridge, and we would go across this man-made bridge, I would assume, but it would be so scary to go across this bridge, because if you've ever gone to Six Flags, you would see how this bridge with the ropes and the wood.
Oh yeah.
And that's the way this bridge was. And I was always afraid when we were driving. We would go down to Talbot to see them and everything, and drive across this bridge, and it just really, really freaked me out. I was afraid that it was gonna collapse. And my cousin said it's still there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's still there. And I, you know, and they, as they say, they lived, you know, so far, which I did experience that.
Yeah.
And it was a long way off the expressway. I mean, the little highway.
Sure.
How do you spell that, the town that you're talking about?
Talbot County, Talbot, and it's in Talbot, Georgia, Talbotton.
It's the main city. It's the main, it's the only.
That's the main city. And Highway 208, that's where my uncle and my aunt and her mother lived. And that's where we normally would have the family reunion every year in that location.
Okay.
Near where you were, Kathy.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, on the same little strip, just right up, her house is right a couple of doors, couple of houses up from there. That whole little strip, that's where the whole area where we would have the reunion every year. We did not this last year due to the pandemic.
COVID.
And this time, I don't know if we're gonna have it this year, but normally we would have it every year, and it's been going on for over 40 years.
Wow. Say, Gloria.
So it's the
Have you? Well, I shouldn't. I'm gonna ask because I'm gonna ask a stupid question. Have you heard of Rough Edge and O'Neill?
Yes.
Where are the? Is there still O'Neill? And do you know if the slaves that in 1870 were in O'Neill's and 1880 Rough Edge, is it all the same place? Do you know?
Yes, it
Thank
is.
you. Oh my gosh. So
yeah.
So it used to be O'Neill's and then it became Rough Edge.
Rough Edge,
Well, is that official
And
or
that's
just what you called it?
It's official. It's
Okay.
official. Because my parents, they lived there.
Okay.
They lived in Rough Edge.
Okay.
Rough Edge, Woodland, Talbot. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. It's in the same location.
Because that's the area we were going up, Amy and I were going up and down, and we saw a road that was named Sarah Marshall Road.
Yes, yeah.
At Highway 36, which used to be the Alabama Road. And we parked the car on that lane and we got out and we walked and we're trying to find a plantation house, knowing it had burned down in 1912 or whatever, but maybe there's some remnants. So, so Highway 36 around in that area would be called Rough Edge. But right now they call all of it Talboton.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now Debbie Buckner, Michael's wife, was saying that when the William Blount Marshall house burnt down, the foundation was left and they built again. Isn't that why we were continuing to look for whatever the second house was?
Someone had said that it had been rebuilt on, and I don't know, but that we couldn't find it, but that doesn't mean Okay. And then Michael Buckner said that in the past, Rough Edge was mainly a lot of forested areas around it, and it was muddy. It was so muddy that the people who worked, all the slaves and the owners in the Rough Edge area, which would be our people, only went to the big town, which is Talboton, on Saturdays because it was so out of the way. So it's like what Gloria is saying, it was really off the beaten path.
Yeah.
And so we were just trying to find out where the people actually were.
Yeah, because my mom did tell me about the Marshall plantation, and they lived on the Marshall plantation, and they called them Sam Marshall plantation.
Oh.
So is it the white Sam Marshall or the black Sam Marshall? And I know that it would be the white, but I'm just asking. So
I'm pretty sure it was the white Sam Marshall. I'm pretty sure it was because her dad, who was Sam Marshall, was Black, and I think his when he married Anna Jane. Let me see, it was one of them that was mulatto. But I think that was on the Walton side.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm once I get all my stuff back together and put it back together, I'm gonna we're gonna stay. Well, of course we're gonna stay in touch with each other. You know that.
Right. That's right.
Well, I'm really happy and thrilled that you have shared so much with us.
Yeah.
The Sam name is super, super interesting to me and important because the Sam Marshall, our Sam Marshall lived between James and Sam Marshall, the white James and Sam. We live right there, right? At least on the census, we're listed right between.
Oh, yeah, because you see
right
the staying next door.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
do you have any kind of knowledge or visual at all of what that means? So let's say your Sam Marshall lived on the white Sam Marshall's plantation. Do you know if those cabins would have been like in a row of cabins, or if they just be here and there, or do you have a visual? And Jennifer, jump in too if you know.
In accordance to the way I'm looking at this is like, upon really doing when I say doing both sides of the family, the Hardnetts and the Marshalls, I still see how it could have been sat next door to each other, because upon tracing, well, not just tracing the roots, but just when we would go to Talbot and Woodland at least once a month growing up as a child, my dad brother, and another brother and another brother, and then an aunt, all of them lived on the same little strip. And I know you guys, when you went through Talbot, did you all go through Woodland, Georgia? Did you all go through Woodland? It's only 8 miles from Talbot.
I believe we sure saw signs.
We saw signs, yeah.
We went a lot of places that maybe I can't really tell you.
And when Michael was driving us, then I don't know, like he was just like taking us everywhere, and I don't know, and it was awesome, but I don't know where we were.
Because there's a mansion on the left-hand side in Woodland, Georgia, a white mansion on the left-hand side. When you when you pass the church, Friendship Baptist Church, when you pass that church, it's and then there's like a railroad track, and then they've got what they call the town, and that's where the bank and and the post office and everything is on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side there's a big white mansion on the left-hand side at the top of the hill.
So was that the Woodall's house?
No, it wasn't the Woodall house. I don't know who reside there now, but I do think it was some owner, plantation owner's house.
Mm-hmm. You talked about a church, the Friendship Baptist Church.
Right,
Did most of the Black folks that used to be enslaved by Marshalls, were they mostly Baptists, or were they?
Most all of the ones that buried, at the church, all of them were Baptists.
Okay.
Because we finally found, Amy and I were looking for the Waverly Hall cemetery. Yeah. We finally found that. And we should have gone to Powell. We should have done it, Jennifer. You said, I think you said, go to Powell. We should have, and we didn't.
There's another trip coming up.
But you know what happened back in the days, they didn't have headstones. They put a brick or a rock at the foot of the grave.
At the foot? At the
foot of the grave.
Okay.
But there was no headstone. And I do plan to go back down shortly, and to do some more little research. And I wanted, because my cousin had given me some information before he died about a month ago.
Oh.
And I didn't really know then about how they knew where they were, buried due to the headstone. He said they used a rock or a brick or whatever, and they put it at the foot of the grave.
Like Porterdale. Sounds like Porterdale, where Grandpa and most of the Marshalls were buried in Columbus.
They were buried in Columbus?
In Porterdale Cemetery.
Okay.
But yeah, so they had said that a lot of the Marshall slaves went to the church, the Mount Zion Church.
You know about the Mount Zion Church?
And it sounded like it was near Waverly Hall Cemetery. Sounded like it was very close there.
Okay. Okay. Near Waverly.
And I was trying to find a list of the names. I was trying to find the church itself to see if they had any records. I've only seen, Amy and I went to Columbus, and the first time I ever saw church records was in Columbus at the St. James AME Church.
Well, I do think that there's records at Powell Baptist Church. And that's off, you all went to the courthouse, right?
We did.
Talbot, yeah.
Uh-huh. And the street, you know, okay, before you got to the courthouse, there was a red light, and it's called Powell Road. It's on Powell Road. And you turn right at that red light on Powell Road, and that will take you directly to Powell Baptist Church.
Okay.
Okay, but they might have records, huh?
That's what I'm thinking, because you know, I normally when we go, it's on a weekend and there's no really activities as far as the church being open, and I would probably call and see and check and see, because you know, that's me as well.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know as much as I can and find out. And I said I was going to go to the courthouse and look for the records as well, because you know, just the Marshalls and the Hardnett.
Sure. Yeah.
So I got, you know, by us being double connected and double related, it's something. It is something, and it's so much to look into.
Yeah, and to decipher.
So
Thank you for doing that.
So the question I asked, sorry, put your hands on your ears, Jennifer. So, so Miss Gloria, did I ask you this already? Has anybody in your family, the Marshall side, taken a DNA test that you know of?
I don't think so, but I said I was gonna get a kit.
Which kit should you get?
Well, the one that I got it from Ancestry.
Oh, well, mine is Ancestry as well.
Yeah, mine's from Ancestry. And sometimes they run specials, especially around Father's Day.
Yeah.
They run specials. Because and I did get one before my uncle passed on my dad's side, and sent it to him, and that's how we got the records as to where we're from, our DNA, going back to West Africa.
So is he on Ancestry? So his DNA is on Ancestry? It's
yeah, it's Melvin Hardnett.
There you go.
What's his name?
Melvin. And it should be side by side next to mine, which mine is Gloria Johnson, and his is Melvin Hardnett. And as a matter of fact, I gotta get them to, I'm gonna call Ancestry, because they have him as a first cousin, and I know that's my uncle.
Oh.
Yeah, they guess it's just by the amount of stuff that you guys share.
Yeah.
So, but it could be a lot of different relationships, and usually they just guess on the best one. But if you click on when you're looking at the test results, there's like a little I, a lowercase I. If you click on it, it'll tell you all the other possible relationships it could be.
Okay.
It just depends on how much you share. Like, you know, my sister and brother and I don't all share the same bits from our parents. You know,
I understood that much of it. Yeah.
So that's probably why, is maybe you don't share as much with him as they would assume, you know, if you were an uncle versus other. But I mean, they're really close.
Yeah. Oh yeah, being first.
Yeah. So both of you have DNA results in there?
Yeah. Oh. Another trail.
I was determined, due to the fact that it was 14 kids, and he was the last one left. out of, it was 10 boys and 4 girls. And by him being the last one, I said, I better order a DNA kit and send to Ohio where he lived and, have him do the test. And so I did, and then I did one first, and then I sent one to Ohio for him. And he did it, and that's what came up. And he shared more of Nigerian than I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. well, one thing, my dad's oldest brother was born in 1908. And he died in 1975. And he lived in Woodland, Georgia.
Okay.
To the left where the big White House mansion. That's where he lived.
Wow.
And he was known to have, he had money, and he was pretty wealthy, and he was in the military. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of history on that side. And I, like I said, I'm getting more information. I had written down a lot of information from what my mom had told me. And I do have that information in my stacks of records downstairs, which I will be going. And I've got my obituary binder right here with me now.
That sounds real exciting, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen very few obituaries. We have one for Grandma Daisy, and our moms, we have several, but we don't have very many obituaries, really. Maybe not even 5, I don't think.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is one of those huge binders, and
wow.
On the Marshall side, I have my mom, and I have my uncle D. Hudson Marshall, Maybelle's daddy, and Maybelle's, brother, and his son, and his sister, and Sammy Davis Marshall, Roy Marshall, and my aunt Helen Marshall Smith. I just got all, everybody.
That's a treasure trove.
That's right.
And the thing of it is, the reason I feel that that's very important is because on Ancestry, I go in and I do all the names of everybody and say doing the tree like that.
Right.
And it's and I say I can't remember all these children's names, so they got to be listed in the obituary.
Yeah.
And that's another one of my pet peeves.
All right.
Well, here's one pet peeve concerning Austin. Kind of. So our grandfather's name is, so cousin Austin that's right here with us today, Austin David.
Oh. His
father was Austin Henry, and our grandfather was Austin Henry Marshall. His father, our great-grandfather, was Henry A. Marshall, which I always assumed was Austin.
Okay.
So on the death certificates of our grandfather and 2 of his brothers, they say that their dad was Austin Marshall. Doesn't say Henry, says Austin Marshall.
Oh.
So, well, no problem. Henry's middle name was A for Austin, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the 1870 census, there's a Henry Marshall and a Wright Marshall and a Cersei Marshall and an Austin Marshall and a Sam Marshall. There's a brother, there's Henry, and he has a brother named Austin. So which one is our great-grandfather?
Well, how old did the Austin Marshall live?
Well, so the Austin brother is younger than.
Did he die young? Oh, so he's younger.
Well, I have no documents on him. I have no documents on the Austin. Well, excuse me, there are several Austins.
I was looking at that too when you gave me the information. I went in Ancestry and I was looking at that too, and that's why I asked you approximately what year was he born.
Yeah.
So probably 1867 for Austin, and Henry was born anywhere between 1858 and 1861. I have a marriage record for Henry A. Marshall with Mary Smith. So that's why
Oh, he married a Mary
assumed-
Smith.
Yes, from Alabama, probably Tuskegee area.
Okay.
Oh, they married in Columbus, but I think they met. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they did meet in Columbus. But the point is that I always assume, because there's a marriage record for Henry A. Marshall with Mary Smith, that Henry was our first great grandfather. But all of the death certificates say someone named Austin Marshall was the father.
Was it Austin Davis? Was it Austin Davis that was the father? But see, that's why it's so messed up.
That is messed up.
You
So
know-
how possible is it that there was a Henry Austin and then a brother named Austin?
Well, you know, they were naming kids, and as a prime example, I was told by my aunt, my dad's oldest sister, that she asked her daughter, why did you name your child? I can't recall what her name was, but she said, you know, it is a custom that everybody name their children after a family member.
Mm-hmm.
And having said that, every last one is so many, when it come down to the Marshalls and the Hardnetts, we have so many with the same first name.
Right.
I mean, when I say same first name, I mean, because one of my first cousins, I have a brother, James Hardnett. I have a first cousin, James Hardnett. James, Jimmy, Robert.
Wow.
I mean, all of those are, you know, everybody. And I see, there's a lot of people ask me when I wear my Hardnett t-shirt, and some people come up, are you a Hardnett? I said, yes, I am. And said, do you know this one? I said, well, probably. I said, more than likely, because of the fact that Hardnett is not a very common name, and it's not really how African name. That's what I was actually trying to, you know, dig for, because my cousin told me to stop digging because I was gonna end up digging up somebody related to him that he's married to.
It's too late now for that.
Yeah, and
Just
this
let it
was
go.
the cousin that married. This was the cousin that married the Blount.
It's been
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and
Well,
so
that's
that
what
was,
happens.
and that was Maybelle's uncle who told me that.
That's funny.
But yeah, everybody is so many, just so many. James, Jimmy's, Roberts. It's just, you know. So sometimes when people ask me, I say, well, who are the parents? And that way, I know which one it is. So it's kind of hard. But that's a custom. That's a Hardnett custom. That's that's one of the things in the South. You name your child after a family member.
Yeah, definitely.
That is true. My everyone has my grandmother's middle name.
Right.
All of the cousins, all of the girl cousins, middle name is Louise.
We were supposed to have one,
Mhm,
but it
mhm.
stopped.
So Greg, you come out with the David Greg Marshall, and that's the only time I've seen a Greg. So that's a special name, although you could have been Glenn.
You were supposed to be Glenn,
Mm-hmm.
if Dad had his
name
way.
Forrest Glenn.
Mm.
Yeah.
Glenn Forrest.
Glenmore.
Is it Glenn Forrest or Forrest
It was
Glenn?
going to be Glenn Forrest.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what about Greg and Carrie as far as making introductions about yourselves and letting Jennifer and Amy and Gloria and Austin?
All of you guys are brothers and sisters and first cousins, correct? Greg and Carrie, and you guys are brothers
Kathy.
and sisters.
Greg, Carrie, Kathy are brother and sister.
And Austin is a first cousin.
First cousin.
And
Right.
Michael, who was here, was first cousin. Carolyn was a first cousin.
Herschel was first cousin.
Herschel was okay.
Yeah.
And my Henry Marshall is 1830.
Well, but see, I'm thinking your Henry Marshall is my Samuel Marshall's brother.
We
They
will
were born about the same
find
place.
that.
They're hanging out. I've seen them together on the agricultural schedules in
Oh.
1880.
Okay.
And so I think, and plus they both married Bunkleys, because our Samuel, our great grandfather Samuel, his second wife was Emmeline Bunkley. And yours is what, Mariah Bunkley, I think?
Mariah, yes.
And they're sisters, right? I believe
I
they're
think that's
sisters.
what we're guessing.
So you got the double thing too.
And
Yeah.
so, yes. And so, but that's why I'm so excited to, be talking with you, Jennifer, and because there's all that. And then, so there's all these interrelationships, and Amy's got some, the Blounts show up a bunch of different places, and
Yep.
That is true.
so,
Well, I'm very thankful that Kathy is doing all of this because
too.
I couldn't do all of the digging. And I thoroughly enjoy reading the books and talking about it and learning about it and knowing about it. And she tells me what to do and I'll do it. Hey, do a DNA test. Okay, I'll do that.
yeah, seriously, it's just been really important and helpful, especially that Y-DNA from Greg. But I look at Carrie's, and like Carrie and Greg match more of the Marshalls that have been here today than I do.
Oh, wow.
So Kathy and I are about 22 months apart. And then Greg is 4 years younger than me. So I'm the middle child. But the genes do what they want to do. The DNA does what it wants to do.
That's what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but anyway, so now I'm a retired educator. I retired as a high school vice principal. I have one daughter and one grandson.
Oh.
So and he keeps us busy. I did the distance learning last year. So all teachers, boy, they had a tough time. I'll just say that. But so I live, Kathy and I live, what, about 18 miles apart? Something like that. So, and Greg and Kathy live pretty close. But so just hanging out in Sacramento.
And do you all live you're all together?
In the general Sacramento area.
Okay.
So they live in Elk Grove, which is, it's a city, but it's just south of Sacramento.
Okay. So
Driving
great. I'm glad
distance.
for that. You guys
Yeah.
are close. Wonderful.
Yeah.
It is nice. And my husband is, we're getting a patio done. So he's out working with the contractor in the patio.
Wow.
But, so that's about my life. I do belong to the sorority, which I sent you all an email. And if you don't know anything about Juneteenth, it'll be an excellent presentation. And Kathy, you know Bertha King, right?
Yeah, I do. Well, I love her. I don't know her.
Okay. Yeah, well, you know about the art thing, but she did a performance that was just like, oh my gosh.
They do. For all of you who haven't seen it, her sorority, they know this technology, and they know how to put stuff together that's classy and interesting and well done, and they know the tech
It's education.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're educated.
Yeah. The whole
but it's really good stuff.
But
Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to leave the meeting.
Okay.
I've got to go pick up my granddaughter. But
Gloria,
yeah,
thank
we
you
will be
so
chatting.
much for coming. It was a real pleasure to be able to almost see you.
Okay, well, next
saw
time
you a
we
little bit.
will. Like I said, I'm not all that savvy, and my daughter had to walk me through this process because I normally don't Zoom. But that's it.
Okay.
No, thank you
Good,
very
Gloria.
much.
Wonderful meeting you. Bye,
Till next
Gloria.
time.
Oh, yes, okay.
Hey,
Stay in
thank you.
touch.
Congratulations.
Bye-bye.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Real quick, Greg.
Real quick. So 1976, when Roots came out, I believe that's when Kathy started her journey. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah.
I think it was in the mid 70s. And so that was just to see the journey from then to now, and still being just as tenacious, now probably more tenacious now even then, because of with technology. Back in the day, of course, microfiche and whatever else you had to stumble through. What was that?
No, go ahead.
Okay. And so it's been quite the journey. And then, of course, when she requested the DNA, I didn't hesitate to do that. I remember, I think I was in the,
Let me do this thing.
the Home Depot parking lot. In fact, doing my little spitting in the
Right.
that one.
So there, thank you.
Yep. And then actually, the day before Christmas, actually did the cheek swab. So popped that in the mail. So I think it's important to, even though, like Carrie said, I don't know, I wouldn't be able to probably do all this, but you have to have the passion for it. And it's not that I don't have the passion to know about the history, but it's just a special, and I'm glad Kathy was doing that. So I definitely want to support the cause. But it is fascinating to hear the reading through her books as she's been writing them, and all the stories that there's no way in the world any of us would know anything about if she hadn't done all that. So to keep that alive, and then everyone on this, all the family keeping together is important, and knowing new people, new cousins, I don't even know how all that cousin third, fourth removed, all that stuff. I don't know how I even keep track of all that stuff, but I know somehow, and they like you say in the gene pool, we're all interconnected in that regard. So that's something that that is a part of us, and it's just good to know, to see how the process of sleuthing out who's who and all the records that were not the most accurately kept.
Right.
And
well, like your name on census is wrong.
On what?
Your name on the census isn't right. Your middle initial, I think, is wrong. Isn't that correct, Kathy? I know on one of the censuses it was.
I don't
Really?
think he's had one yet. So.
Well, is that correctable, or I don't know?
I don't know. I think
well, because the latest one out is 1940, so I'm not sure, but there may be some record that may have it wrong, but probably not the.
Okay.
I saw there was something that was incorrect. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It may not have been census, but yeah, some record.
No,
but
news to me. So well.
Birth certificate.
I guess it's all good, but anyway, so just to see the journey. But anyway, a little bit about me. Again, we're all Sacramentans. Well, for the most part, I mean, grew up mostly in Sacramento.
Yeah.
I was born just about an hour or so south of Sacramento, but for about a year. But I was a fireman for a bit in Sacramento, and general contractor, electrician, all that stuff. Still kind of do some of that stuff, but I'm in the financial world now. And surprisingly enough, I do actually offer pre-need, which is burial and cremation plans.
Oh, wow!
Because I don't know if Amy and Miss Amy and Jennifer are familiar with our grandmother Daisy.
Yes,
she was
I read the book.
Oh, yep, mortician in Ohio. So I guess I don't know if it's the first female mortician you were saying, Kathy, or
that's what Lori and Michael and her said, because they were raised by her, and that's what they said.
Okay.
And
I would imagine so.
She was the president of the Funeral Directors Association, the Cleveland Funeral Directors Association, and she was up there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So although we didn't get a chance to visit our cousins and whatnot in Ohio, obviously a bit of a distance, but I don't know what age I was. I do remember the funeral home. I believe I do. I think I remember not wanting going to the basement, because that's where, all the hardcore stuff was done. So, but who would have thought I would have kind of followed footsteps with that?
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
Not entirely. It's just a part of what I do. But
that is.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm glad we can all get together and we can keep this up, because obviously without Zoom we wouldn't be able to do this.
Right.
Even if the COVID didn't occur, I mean, just hopping on a plane, doesn't, expenses and all that other stuff.
Right.
So this is good. We can all get together and just hearing everyone's not story, but history and bringing up their knowledge base. Just amazing. So I'm glad we were able to get this, and hopefully we can keep this up once a month or what have you, just as an ongoing process or basis.
I appreciate you using your Zoom code, because mine's only 40 minutes.
Oh, yes. And reason why I was actually on a Zoom before, I didn't release that Zoom yet before. So that's why it was waiting for the host to get off the other one. I didn't realize I was still on it. So wait, what's going on here? So apologize for the delay in that, but yeah, absolutely. We can use this account.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I am recording it. So I can release that. It probably will have to be like a Dropbox or something, because I'm sure it's a big file. Will be a big file, but I can either get that to you, Kathy, or then you can distribute or whatever.
Do you have a YouTube account? A friend of mine takes those kinds of things and sticks them on her YouTube, her private one.
Oh, that's an idea.
I
There you
could
go.
You do that. I don't know how to do that.
I don't know how to do that either.
Yeah, I have a YouTube, so I can do that. I didn't think about that.
But make it private, so then you just give
Sure.
it to whoever you want to give it to. Yeah.
Exactly. Makes sense. I will do that.
I did a Facebook group with a couple of the videos between Kathy and I of our trip. And then I did a private Facebook Messenger group, and I didn't invite you guys. So if you wanted to be invited, I mean, it's basically the same thing. It's just whatever I was telling my kids and my sister-in-laws and, anybody from my side of the family that was interested. But I'm, if you'd like to be invited to that, Kathy will probably articulate it better, but and you'll probably get double of whatever, because we shared, videos and whatnot.
You know what would be super cool? Because I don't know if I fully told you this yet, Amy, because you were gone. I didn't want to bug you, but you know what? Whenever I go on a trip, she knows, she saw me writing, and I would write in a journal every night about what happened during the day.
Right.
I typed that all up, and lo and behold, there's 35 pages of stuff I typed up, but there's a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of things that we talked about in the car, different topics that we talked about in the car. And I just haven't had any time to do that. I mean, so what I'm hoping at some point after July, because I got to get this manuscript done, after July, I'll just send it, and whatever comments you have. So because you already talked about some of those issues, probably, I'm just hoping you'll feel comfortable. And if you don't, that's fine too. But this is so special. Normally after these genealogy trips, I just make a photo book, a little 20-page photo book. I put pictures, and some of the journal stuff. But this is so much more. This is so important. What you said to all of us, Amy, especially, that's why it's so important. It's just really important. And so if you're comfortable, so I'll send it to you, and then whatever you want to do or not do. Same with Miss Jennifer, because you was there too. So if you feel comfortable doing that, the point is to be able to meet with the sons and daughters of all sides of the Marshall family, going back to England and beyond. That's the whole point. Jim Marshall, who showed us around in Putnam County and did a wonderful job. He's been sending me some stuff that I'm going to send you, Amy. Especially,
good. Oh, good.
Especially because it's going to deal with Brunswick, things that he has found back in Virginia.
Wow, that's
way back. And it.
What's the next title of the book?
This particular one is the Marshall Legacy. The next one, I don't know. It'll be like the journey. I don't know what it's going to be called. The next one, but it's going to be short.
Marshall Land.
And it's not going to be all researchy. It's just whatever we've already done. It's just writing down what the trip was. It's not any research. It's going to be easy, and it's going to come out January 2022, and that's going to count for the whole year. Woo! That means Kathy's not going to be doing nothing for a year.
Woo! I'll believe it when I see it.
So glad. Yeah. Anyway, it's so nice to meet you. Jennifer, very nice to meet you. I noticed that you have an S on your name, but before they didn't have the S.
Correct.
Okay. And I'm not going to ask because I already know.
I don't know. It just started to appear about 1920 when the family moved to Columbus, which isn't that far from Talbotton. So, but yes, the slave owners, Daniel Grant Owen, they lived there in Talbotton. It's funny because all my family either comes from Talbotton or Harris County. So I actually have two families that come from Talbotton. So,
oh wow,
all my family is right here. But I haven't ventured off. I have time to do that too.
Right there, huh?
Ma'am, what'd you say, Carrie?
You have plenty to deal with the big family right where you are, right where
They're all here. I found them. Yeah, I've made connection. I just have not traveled to different places, and especially not alone, being that I live in the South. So, when I find that partner, my now current boyfriend, he would go to the cemeteries with me. We'd go cemetery hunting, looking for graves. I'd just call it, let's go take a walk,
Yeah.
But I haven't found a partner, but yes,
Right there.
I'm in proximity to everything, and so I am here locally. There's a lot of family here in Columbus. A lot of the same names that you're seeing on the census, they are here. And Kathy, I was going to tell you that I will be sending you an email, because as we've been talking, my mind's been going, and we actually have a descendant group of Annie Marshall. On Facebook.
Oh, wow.
So I'm looking at everybody's comments, and I'm just taking down like notes and stuff of what they're saying about Annie Marshall and who her cousins are. So I'm going to shoot these names to you.
Great.
And in your spare time, if you have that, you can kind of look for that. I found a cousin Ola and a cousin Minnie, a cousin Mamie, and I don't know these people because, like I said, I think from Annie on is where they started documenting, and all we have is Henry and Mariah. And then we just started documenting Annie and her grandchildren and her children, but we don't have anything further than Henry and Mariah. That's it. It's like the family is not concerned about the root, they're preserving what remains.
That's good.
Yeah.
Are those people, are those their official names on their birth certificate, or are those the nicknames?
Ola and Minnie?
No, all of the people you just mentioned, the ones afterwards.
They are official names.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that Ola is very interesting because that's kind of close to the Erica and the Rosa.
Only.
There is a Rosa in there as well, and I was jotting that down about a Rosa in the comments. Now, remember I told you that my father was not raised by his father.
Oh, yeah.
So I've only met this side of the family about 2 years ago.
Wow.
Okay.
So I'm not from Columbus. This is my father's hometown. So I'm like the nosy cousin that no one knows about, who's like calling people and saying, hey, do you know so-and-so? So that's me. And so I've only met them like 2 years ago. But, it was a great reception. They received me. But because my father never dealt with that side of the family, they don't really know him. They don't really know me. Sure. And so for me to ask about, Henry and Mariah and everybody else, kind of get the obits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm in the group, and I'm reading, things that they're placing in there. And I'm going to shoot you an email of all these names that I pulled up already.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm really most interested in how they lived. Okay. Where, because I see on the census 1870, 1880, I know where the residents, if something's listed second on the census, that means that they live next to each other, which is not always true, but they live close. If they're listed close on the census, they live probably pretty close. And it's not a big area, as we found. It's like going from Sacramento to Rancho Cordova.
Oh, wow.
Talbot to Harris is, it's not huge at all. So anyway, but this has just been fabulous, and I thank you, Greg, certainly for getting this together. Thank you, Carrie, for your input as always, and Amy, the queen. Jennifer, who's kept me honest, because Jennifer a couple times since the trip said, hey, I thought you was gonna have a Zoom meeting. When is this?
There you go, Jennifer.
Reminded me, keep me honest. And we had been meeting with just some of the first cousins, generally second Thursday of the month.
Do you want to continue that next month?
I think we should just do it. And if people can come, they can. And
for me, it's easier to have it set on the calendar. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be involved, but so it's whatever people want to do. But I just really wanted to get together with the folks who had helped. And I will still be in contact with the Lori Ligon Hughes, who's our double Smith and Ligon. And you don't even know who they are, but they're from Tuskegee, and that's a whole nother thing. The Alabama trip was a whole nother thing. Erika, because she's working, that's going to be tough, although she might be on summer vacation, right? Coming up.
She should be, yeah, because she wanted to go on that trip so bad, but she had to teach, I want to say till June 12th or something, which is a couple days, but maybe, I don't know. Anyway, she had to teach, and she's 10 years younger than I am. So
Is she your cousin?
So she's as much a cousin as Kathy is. She's the one that started this whole journey.
She's column number 3 on the list. She's column number 3 on the list.
Yeah, and in those pictures that Kathy sent out, she can you point to her?
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm 55 this year. Kathy, what, you're like 9 years older than me, right?
Yes, 64.
And then Erika's 10 years younger than me. So she's like 44. So she's a grandma too. She started being a mom early, and she has grandkids that are little. My oldest granddaughter is 10. She'll be 11 this year. And so I have 13 grandkids, 6 kids.
Oh my goodness.
And I love it. I absolutely love it. But yeah, so I'm a real busy grandma, and I love every minute of it. And my husband and I own a business. He does 99% of it, and I call our customers to see if they need anything.
I like that. That's important, though. That's important, and I'm sure he hates doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he just was so sweet. He's like, you have to go on this trip with Kathy, and Kathy. He sent me a podcast you have to listen to.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's about that whole question about, because I know you're trying to figure out how to portray William Blount Marshall, as a slave owner. And it was fabulous. And it's written from the perspective of a descendant of a slave.
Okay.
But I mean, long story short, he's like, I'm sorry, but there's no possible way that it could have been a consensual, just no. She was owned. No, the power level. But anyway, he wants you to listen to that. And my husband's also a bishop in our church. And on Sunday, we had what we call testimony meeting. And he talked about our trip. And he talked about how he was really moved about how the slaves were forgotten, and that how he knows that they really aren't. And anyway, but he shared that experience. So even though he's not like related, he's just so passionate. He's like, you got to talk to Kathy. Have you sent this to Kathy?
That's great. So, now's a really good time, because I got to tighten that up. I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send that whole part 2 about to James. If anyone else wants to see it before it goes to the editor, I'm going to have it ready to send by Saturday. And I mainly wanted James to do the Putnam and the ancestral memory, the part going all the way back to England and stuff like that. But I'm going to give him the whole shot, because if he knows, I think he was born in Talbot. Didn't he say he was born in Talbot?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Or at least maybe he was Putnam, but anyway, both those men that led us around were there the whole time, that's all they've known. So yeah.
So I'm gonna give that, and just give a week and then tighten it up and send it off.
All right.
I just want it to be correct. I want it to be correct, if it can be correct. But anyway,
Miss Jennifer had a question regarding an Emmett Marshall.
Do you have an Emmett Marshall anywhere in the census?
Say the name again.
Emmett.
Oh, Emmett.
I'm gonna have to, it doesn't ring a bell, but that doesn't mean anything. What I do have is I have DNA matches who are last name is Emmett, Rebecca Emmett and a brother Emmett on these lines. And so it's very possible, because with our great-great-grandfather, the slave owner friends of William Blount Marshall had names that ended in Searcy and Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T. The first names of the slaves of our family members were, our great uncle was Wright, our great uncle was Searcy Marshall, our great uncle was all these names that were last names of. So if you have an Emmett Marshall, it could have been that he was named after some owner with the last name Emmett, because I've found that with our family.
Right.
And I have DNA matches to, again, Rebecca and her brother. Emmett, and I haven't been able to, I don't know if I've seen their family trees. Not everyone has a family tree just because they're DNA related. They don't necessarily, but I will look and see.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, I got a long list too.
All right.
Nice
Anyone
to know.
else have anything at all? Anything?
Have a great 4th of July.
Yes, happy 4th.
Oh, wow, yeah. Ooh, it's going by so fast.
And oh, just one other plug. You can share that Juneteenth thing with as many people as you want.
Okay.
Sure thing.
They have a,
Yeah.
we're going through a local art theater, and they have a huge Zoom bandwidth. So go for it.
Cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, that'd be neat.
sounds great.
All righty.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.